What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is, evening for you UK folk over there, and on that side of the world. Sorry for the little bit of the delay as per usual. We didn't get started at our normal time here just because I didn't set an alarm today because I didn't think I would wake up at 3 p.m. I woke up at 3 in the afternoon without the help of an alarm, so I don't know what the hell happened there. It's not like I went to bed any later than I usually do. So, I don't know. Maybe that's a sign from my body or something. Who knows? But yeah, we got some stuff to talk about this week for a little bit. I do though kind of want to talk about Shang-Chi, sorry. Though I want to do it with as minimal spoilers as possible, which might be a little hard to talk about because unlike our previous MCU outings for quite a while now, this is only in theaters, so there's no premiere access. I know some people that specifically have not been able to get out to a theater to see this, and that are still trying to get out to a theater to see this. So I do want to keep some of the more major plot points at least vague. So if we could try to do that, that would be awesome. So, because I love this movie. I'm exporting my reaction to Rockstar's breakdown of the film itself. So that'll be coming up here in just a moment. I had some issues with the export, so I had to re-export it. And then there was something I needed to clarify on, so I had to go back and re-edit it to add something in. So now it is exporting yet again. So while I had planned for this video to be posted prior to the stream, looks like that's not going to happen. I'm going to see if hopefully I can upload it during the stream without the upload speed taking too much of a hit. Hopefully it doesn't affect the quality of the stream for you guys. If it does, I'll just pause it and finish the upload after we do the stream. What's up, Luca? What's up, SJ? Won't be able to stay. Just want to say, hey, you have recently become one of my favorite reactors, and you helped me through rough days, so I hope you never feel unappreciated because you're not. Thank you. Well, thank you, SJ. It really means a lot to me, man. You guys helped get me through just as much, I just gotta say. Like, I've had some rough weeks in the past couple, well, obviously weeks, since that's exactly what I just said. I'm not the best with words sometimes, as you guys probably know. But yeah, doing this and just talking with you guys and just kind of escaping with you all into these realities it helps get me through a lot of stuff too. So I really appreciate that when it's kind of mutual. What's up, Bianca? So Jeffrey was in here as well, but for whatever reason, when I added my pinned comment, it erased his message. I'm pretty sure it just said hey, but if it didn't, and you had something else to say there, I hope you throw that back in there. Saw the movie this afternoon and loved it. Hell yeah. Dude, I'm obsessed with the movie right now at this point. And it's definitely got me on like a kind of like a Chinese Hong Kong style like kick. I'm really like itching to rewatch some of my favorite martial arts films and just kind of like dive into that whole thing. I'm going to see it for a third time on Tuesday. Well, hell yeah, man. I really need to exploit my my movie sub that I have with my theater, because for the only big chain that I have, we have one Regal theater right up the road. But the theater itself was something they bought. It used to be like a Great Escape or something like that. And they haven't really done anything to really update it or keep it up to par. And it's not a lot of people really go to it at this point. And anytime we go out to like a big release or anything like that, we're going up to our local marquee instead, where I can't get like a subscription to the or like a monthly thing where I can see as many movies or whatever I want, like at that one. It's more expensive, but they also have reserve seating. They have all the things you expect from a theater these days. Reserve seating, like recliner chairs, like like these big ass lazy boy chairs and these Dolby systems that are just off the chain. And it's just so much better than the one up here. However, the benefit to the going to the Regal is at least I can see as many movies as I want. So there is like this kind of trade-off. So I've yet to use or exploit my pass yet. So I think I might burn it out going to see Shang-Chi a couple more times. There are a couple of classics coming to theaters this month that I might catch there. So yeah, I've become a little bit spoiled. Like, it is more expensive to go to the marquee theater. But like, yeah, man, those seats. Once I found out about that, I was just like, oh shit, man, this wins. I just wish I could like pay a monthly subscription or whatever to like go see as many movies as I want to that one or whatever. How do we feel about the second part of the movie? Because in my opinion, I think it's way weaker, unlike the first one. I do think the first act, the first half of the film is stronger, but I don't feel like the third act really suffers in the way that a lot of other films did, like with the major third act climax or anything like that. I thought it was crazy. It definitely didn't go direction I expected it to, but that has large implications for the MCU, like the world at hand. And I think it posed, because this is one of those movies, and it gets explained in this breakdown that I'm still working on exporting at the moment, but I'll just go ahead and touch on a little bit. The story is really more about their father than it is Shang-Chi. So it's more about Wenwu and his journey as a character, because he's the one that really changes the most from beginning to end. There is an arc, obviously, for every character in this, but I feel like it's one of those stories where it's really focused around his story. So confronting his own figurative and literal demons in this towards the end, and what and him letting go of everything that kind of came about was like really interesting. So like, I feel like it served its purpose for him, maybe not the main characters, but I think it served its purpose for that. And there's some major implications looking into that creature or this entity that kind of gets introduced, and maybe the new origins of the 10 rings and what that means going forward, because it definitely makes me think that it's got larger implications to what is to come with Multiverse of Madness and this stuff that's going on in Marvel's What If. You think Marvel's ever going to bring back the Iron Fist character? I think eventually they probably will. I feel like they should. Like, I would really like to see, I don't know if they'll bring back Finn Jones, and I'm not sure how many people want Finn Jones to come back. I didn't have a problem with him. My problem with the show itself was just, again, a character centered around martial arts and them being one of the most skilled hand-to-hand fighters in the entire universe. Like, they didn't really show that much, and they didn't get somebody that really had it. They didn't take the time to teach most of their cast how to fight. So that was one of the biggest drawbacks, especially in season 1. It got better in season 2, but if they bring back the Iron Fist character, I would, as much as I love the Defenders series and them setting all that up, I would be more than fine with them recasting Iron Fist and Danny Rand. So, but I would like to see that character come back into this, because there's some definite influences and ties that they can make between the 10 rings, between Tao Lo and Kunlun and the Order of the Hand, all that stuff. There's a lot of ways they can tie all that in together, and it would be really interesting, especially seeing like having Iron Fist and Shang-Chi interact would be interesting too, because they're kind of very similar characters, but with very different abilities and roles in the MCU. So I think that would be pretty interesting to see how they went with that, if they ever brought that character back. When it comes to the Defenders universe, the only characters I really want to come back are the Daredevil side of things, and maybe Jon Bernthal's Punisher, because I adored him. Luke Cage was great. Jessica Jones, the first season, I adored. It was one of my favorites out of all of them. But I feel like they served their purpose because they didn't really do a lot with those characters going forward. I thought the subsequent seasons with those characters didn't really move things forward. So it'd be pretty. I'd be fine with letting those go and maybe trying again, especially considering Mahershala Ali is somebody else in the MCU now. So it'd be weird having him play them, kind of make canon in the same continuity, different things there, like where he's played two different people in the same universe. But it's not unheard of. All I'm saying is that the MCU should 100% cast Jackie Chan as a reimagined Sir Dennis Nayland Smith, Shang-Chi's mentor in the comics. Who says no? Dude, that would be awesome. Especially since a lot of Jackie Chan alum worked on this film. And it shows, and I called that out in my review. I was like, this feels a lot like a Jackie Chan film. Like the way that the action sequences are choreographed, blocked, the creativity and the movements, the use of the environment, with the use of whatever objects you can get your hands on. It was 100% a very strong Jackie Chan preference. And like, as I learned from my own research and as well as this new Rockstars breakdown, which I'm about to post, well, not post, I'm about to upload it, which will mean it'll probably take a little while for it to actually show up for you guys. But it's like, the stunt coordinator himself is a former member of Jackie Chan's team. The fight coordinator, also a former member of Jackie Chan's team, and it shows. Like, it very much shows throughout the DNA of all of this, and it is a blast to see how they're doing with it. So I loved all of that. I fell in love with that because I grew up on those films. I watched a shit ton of Jackie Chan back in the day. Like, a lot of the stuff that was still only dubbed here, and you know, one of my favorite films of his is still to this day Rumble in the Bronx. And the fight in Macau actually gave me some very strong Rush Hour vibes where they were fighting on the scaffolding outside that building. Really beautiful. New seats are only way I get my husband to go to the movies now. I kind of feel the same. If you're not comfortable, then you can't really enjoy the movie. Yep, that's how it is with me and my significant other. At this point, she'll only go to the movies with me if we go to that theater. Love Tony Leung in that movie. He's so badass in it. Yes, he was. Acting's so good. Apparently he's popular in Asia. Now I have to look into some of his previous movies. I felt the same way. I thought he really did a fantastic job in his performance. He had a lot of subtle nuances in his acting and everything that he had, that he was delivering. So many layers. He's also he's not a one-dimensional villain like we're kind of used to at this point. I'm glad that we're finally starting to see like this continuation of Marvel making villains that are more relatable and have more depth to them. I'm multitasking at the moment here, so apologize. Because, again, like I said, a little delayed with this video, so I'm seeing if I can go ahead and get it up. Ba-bow. But yeah, he was awesome. Like him, there actually a lot of people in this, two in particular that I really want to follow up with some of their work is Tony Leung, who played the father in this, who played Wen Wu, or if you haven't seen the movie yet, the Mandarin. And I want to follow up on Meng Zhang because I thought she did a fantastic job in this as well, especially considering she had zero martial arts background going into this movie. And they did like this 4-month training camp with all the actors. Now, Simu Liu, who obviously is the lead in the film, like he's got a background in Taekwondo and I think Wing Chun. Let me verify that. I know it's Taekwondo, and he is a former stuntman as well, so it definitely shows in his work in this. But I can't remember what two schools. I know one was Taekwondo, and I was right. It was Wing Chun. And he's also a gymnast, so it definitely goes to show in his performance like how strong of a martial artist he was. So any of that was probably just a refresher for him, and he pulls off these moves like fantastically. And I think Manga Zhang, for having not done anything at all up until this film, martial arts wise, really, if I didn't know that, I would have thought she had done this forever, man. I really did. I had a blast with this movie, man. I can't stop thinking about it. Apparently the first movie that Tony Leung has done with an American crew. And another thing that kind of like, I think that separated this too from a lot of the similar things we saw with the Mortal Kombat movie, because obviously I'm going to keep drawing parallels to the new Mortal Kombat film, because they did a lot of the same thing. They sought out actors that are known for their martial arts talent. A lot of them, some of them are familiar to American audiences. Some of them are not, and this is their first appearance in like an American film. There was a little bit of a disconnect between them, the material, and what was going on. And I didn't feel this at all with Tony Leung. And I don't know if that comes down to the direction, which I think it very well might, because the director that did Mortal Kombat also has not really done a feature film of that scope before. And the writer for that movie also had not really worked on a feature as well. So it was definitely like a mixed bag of things there for that movie. And I think this like really showed the pedigree that went into it, and the care and love for this property and what they wanted to really do and say with it. Man, again, I love this movie, man. We'll check it out. Thanks. Yeah, are you following the box office for this movie? I know what it made opening. I haven't looked into what it's made as of yet. Looks like 29 million for opening day and night now. That is much more than I heard. I wonder if is that worldwide included on opening day / night? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. 23 million was overseas so far. Because I did hear the opening day, last time I saw an update on the opening day, it was 8 million domestic, which is pretty good. It's good for the pandemic, which is about the best we can hope for at this point for a lot of these things. Let's see. Really want to make sure. Tony Leung, Manga Zhang, Yo. Let's see. For the action for the first half of Shang-Chi was amazing, but the second half I thought was mediocre compared to the first half. I thought the action was consistent throughout. There was a lot more technicality to the fights in the first half for sure, but that's also when a lot of the ground level fighting kind of dissipated into the third act, which is not surprising to me, because it definitely leaned more into the mystical, to the fantastical once we got farther into the end of it. So I do get that the action, and I think the intimacy of the story is a lot stronger in the first and second acts of the film. Once we get to the broader scope of the film that's not really encapsulated much in the trailers, that's when I think the film transitions into thematic resolution for that. Yes, there's action happening, there's a lot of things happening on the screen, but it's more about bringing a close all of everybody's character arcs, including the villain of the movie. So like I get that for sure. So Shang-Chi is pronounced Shang. Does that mean we've been playing Shang Tsung wrong this whole time? Yeah. Yes, we have. That would be accurate, because it's something that we're all kind of it's hit or miss a lot of the times. It all depends on like who's crafting the IP, because by all intents and purposes, Raiden in Mortal Kombat should be pronounced Raiden, but no one does. No one says that. That's why a lot of people are confused in Metal Gear Solid when Raiden is called Raiden there, but not Raiden in Mortal Kombat. Same with Shang Tsung. It should be Shang Tsung. Like, if we're being true to the origins of the language and the origins of the names that they're using for sure. So it is like this. It's like when people say katana instead of katana. It's all about phonetics. It's because us Anglo-Saxon, European era English-speaking languagers. That was a sentence. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm great. And it like our vowels are inconsistent and can be changed by all kinds of different like uses and pairings. That's usually not the case with a lot of other languages. Usually the vowels are very specific, and in a lot of your Romance languages, a lot of your Asian languages, A is always ah. And for us, a lot of the time that semblance comes out in O's and stuff like that. So yeah, Simu Liu is a wonderful singer and can play the guitar. Seems like there's literally nothing he can't do. Well, hell yeah, man. And plus he's sexy as hell, man. God damn. If you're not subscribed to The Watchers, there's a series they do called Dish Granted where he appeared on there. I definitely recommend that. It's a lot of fun seeing like what he's kind of like outside of the this whole space. Out of the 6 confirmed heroes for Armageddon, who are you most excited to see? Do you think there's a chance White Canary and Superman might show up in the last episode of Surprise? Well, it's a possibility because they said there's a lot of things they haven't announced for that crossover just yet. So I would like for Superman to appear, but I don't feel like that's going to be very likely. And I would like for Sarah to appear, but I also don't know. I don't know what their plans are with this story. It would be weird for, other members to be there, not her, given we don't know how Legends wraps up, because we won't find that out until tomorrow night. So we'll see. Also, we say that it's unforgivable if we don't get a final moment between Barry and Kara. I think we will. I would be sad if we don't see a final moment with those two for sure. What's up, Jack? I'm excited for Katie's future in the MCU. I'm excited to see where they take her character. Me too. She was a surprise for me because Awkwafina and everything I've seen her in up to this point has always kind of been a little hit or miss. And I thought she was a very strong character in this through and through. And I liked her arc throughout the film. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. So where does the Mandarin stand on my top Marvel villains? He's right behind Loki and Thanos for me. He's probably my favorite villain so far. Because Loki, I don't really, at this point, don't really consider him a villain, just as like a minor inconvenience. Loki hasn't been a villain to me since the very first Thor film, and Avengers technically, but I haven't really felt like Loki's ever been, it's been a long time since Loki's been a true villain. Of course, he's kind of had this redemption arc in both iterations, so I don't really consider him a villain anymore. So I don't know, man. I think I would have the Mandarin at the top for me. Yeah, after accepting what I should be expecting the mystical. Yeah, after accepting that, I should be expecting mystical stuffs for the third act. My second time watching was even more fun. What's up, Annalise? Hello, sorry I'm late. No worries, no problem at all. How are you, and what are we talking about? Right now, we're talking about Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, and I'm trying to be as spoiler-friendly as possible because I know, unlike Black Widow, unlike the stuff that's on Disney+, this is only in theaters, so I don't expect everybody to have seen it, so I'm trying to be a little vague when I'm talking about it. So that's where we're at the moment. Let's see. I really wasn't expecting the fantasy stuff, so that kind of took me out of the movie, but because everything else was great. I don't know. I really want to like it more. I expected the fantasy stuff. We saw hints of it in the trailer. We saw the gate in the trailer. We saw them fighting over the rings. We saw the dragon, obviously, in the trailer. So I expected some of what we got. I didn't expect it to tie into the stuff going on in What If and Multiverse of Madness, though. And I won't say what. But in the Mortal Kombat games, they literally say Shang, so it's just whatever they go by. That is true. And it's, like I said, it's by the developer, and at that point, it's just the fault of the developer at that point. And that's why when I'm talking about Mortal Kombat, I still say Raiden, because it's a fantasy world. He's not really from any one of these places, so I'll just say it the way that they say it. Same with Shang-Chi, or not Shang-Chi, Shang Tsung. It's just weird. It's hard once something has been so ingrained, it's really hard to undo it, you know, and try to change anything like that, especially with pronunciations. Once people have been saying something for a specific way for a long time. Do you follow the UFC? I could not decide to watch this stream or the UFC tonight, so I decided to have both on. Hell yeah, man, go for it. I do not follow the UFC at all. I like that Katie is a more dimensional side character in those previous MCU films. They gave her something to do in the third act, and I liked it, and it fit into her character arc that was established from her very first scene. Like, the very first time we meet Katie, that is where everything in this calls back in the film. Everybody's stories call back in to where they started at the beginning. So there's like a full arc for every character in this. And I thought the structuring and the pacing of the film was really, really well done. And her arc, like that one little line towards the end, which I won't spoil, but that encompasses her entire journey, was just chef's kiss. I like, let's see, like Kamala Khan and Kamala Harris are both pronounced differently. Very true. Even though I've pronounced them both the same the entire time. You think Legends has too much to wrap up in tomorrow's finale? Nah, I don't think they do. Not at this point. I think they just got to wrap up whatever Bishop has planned and figure out what's going on with John. What do you think the What If episode should be for Shang-Chi? What if Shang-Chi did the thing he was sent to America to do? Maybe. I don't know. Or what if Shang-Chi helped his father in the end? It'd be cool to see Barry team up with Mia just like he did with her father. That'd be cool. And do I like Mia Queen as Green Arrow? I like Mia Queen as Mia Queen. I don't know. Did you all see that Stephen Amell said if Netflix, Hulu, or HBO Max approached him for a Green Arrow limited series, he would be more than happy to come back for it? I thought that was interesting. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right, Jack. I did forget that. I forgot about that. You're right. He did do the thing. So, what if he followed in his father's footsteps? How about that? Shut up, hun. I forgot. Yeah, there you go, Jack. That one. Hey, I have my moments. FYI, the actor who plays teenage Shang-Chi was cast as Zuko in Netflix's Avatar. And the trailer shot of Shang running aside the dragon immediately reminded me of Aang as Zuko doing the dancing dragon. Yes. Really? Okay. I still have my apprehensions of Netflix's version of the story. More than excited for the kids that are getting cast in the roles. And honestly, the castings that have been announced for the show are fairly inspired. I think they're pretty solid castings. I'm still very shaky on what the story's going to be, especially since it made the creators themselves turn and run away from the project. But I'm holding out hope. I'm really hoping it's one of these things that kind of blow us all away in the end, but we'll see. Good enough. Ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. All right, good enough. All right. Love the Dragon Ball Z and the Atla nods. Me too, man. And I thought like the same thing. Like I turned over and was just like, Kame, when that was happening, and then the movie itself kind of does it for me. The fantasy stuff was great, I thought. I always considered Shang-Chi a street-level hero like Spider-Man or Jessica Jones, but Spider-Man has shown us multiple times how fun it can be when he elevates to more global and cosmic threats. Plus, the Chinese history and lore entwined in the fantasy elements were amazing, I thought. Me too, because those are all authentic mythological creatures in their mythology. And I recognized most of them, obviously the Firebirds / Phoenixes. I recognized the dragon horse thing. And this is kind of going into spoiler. I recognized a lot of things that happen in the third act that you kind of see. Some stuff. You know, it's not just a dragon. I'll just leave it at that. Fuck. Anyway. Have I watched Stephen Amell's Heels yet? I have not checked it out yet. I've heard really good things about it so far, and I think that everything I've been hearing about has been pretty great. I'm waiting for it to be over for the season to end, and then I'm going to sign up for Stars and watch it all in one go. Yeah, I've been hearing really great things about it. I want to check it out because I want to support Stephen Amell for sure. Have you checked out? Oh, I just read that one. Yeah, evil Shang-Chi would be a powerhouse with the rings. 100%. And that's the difference between this version of the movie, or Shang-Chi, his origins and all that, and the comic book one. Shang-Chi was just a martial artist. I mean, I don't recall if he had any actual mystical abilities, but he definitely didn't have the 10 rings, and he wasn't related to the Mandarin at all in the comics. So that is a deviation, obviously. So that does give him a much larger, more powerful arsenal if he has access to the 10 rings moving forward, which is kind of questionable whether or not that'll be the case. So we'll see. I'm really excited to see Ryan Wilder interact with Barry, Flash, Batwoman team up. I think it'll give Batwoman a little bit of a boost. I don't know if it's going to boost the show at all, but we'll see. I'm completely cool with Netflix doing their own thing with Avatar, and the fact that creators left, honestly don't care, because those same original creators helped with the Shyamalan movie we got, and no, they didn't. They didn't. If you check out the interviews on that, they were there, but they were ignored. They also left that to its own devices. Their names were on it, but if in all of their interviews, every time they spoke up against the film or what they were doing, they were ignored. They were pushed away. They had no hand in crafting what ended up with that M. Night Shyamalan movie. But yeah, unfortunately, their names are tied to it. They hate that thing. They want nothing to do with that thing. But they didn't have any control on that because Nickelodeon signed that deal with that whole crew. So I trust those two, man. I do. There was a better bending in Shang-Chi than the actual Avatar movie. That's not even in your opinion, man. That is in fact. The fact in the Avatar movie, it took 6 dudes stomping around the ground to move a pebble that was going like 2 miles an hour. The movie's a joke. You're finally going to see Shang-Chi tomorrow. Well, I'm trying my best to not like be too specific with some of the spoilers we're talking about. Do you think next week we can go all out with spoilers? Yes. By next week, I will lift the gates on any spoilers. And since it is a holiday weekend here, at least in the US, I don't know yet, so don't hold me to it. I don't know if I'll do like a stream or something Monday, since I have Monday off. So maybe we can do something Monday. We'll see. Let's see. Shang-Chi is now one of my top 10 MCU movies. Will you be doing a ranking soon? I think at this point, like, I started my channel way late into the Marvel game, and it's easy to do like the DC rankings because there's not nearly as many films. Same with Star Wars, but there's like 20 something movies for now. And I was thinking about this last night because there was a comment I saw that made me kind of want to ponder where I actually place this. For me, it's really hard to differentiate like solo films from like the team up movies because they're all structured fairly differently. Like there's like a different feeling and vibe to them. And in a lot of ways, because in that way, in-game for me has always, ever since it came out, it's always felt like it's still my favorite MCU film because of just how bonkers insane it is, how much of a splash book, comic book brought to life that whole thing feels like. There's nothing else that compares to that in what we've seen so far. But then you have these tight, well-told, character-driven stories that have all these great technical elements, and I'm just like, how do I rate that? But yeah, I don't know. I might do like a top 10 or something. I don't know if I'll go through and rank all of them, but we'll see. We will see. I really hope Marvel Zombies episode is episode 5. When do they normally release like the poster art for What If? What day do they usually do that? Because I know they release like a What If poster for the upcoming episode before it comes out. Because I remember seeing the Doctor Strange one before the Doctor Strange episode. Same with the Nick Fury poster before the Hope Van Dyne episode. Like, do we know when those actually come out? Because I'm curious to see what the next episode is. Because yeah, that's the one I'm really looking forward to, is seeing how they handle this Marvel zombie thing and actually how dark it gets. Because that storyline of the comics, man, it makes me uncomfortable. Like some of the things I've like avoided reading it because like some of the moments in it have always kind of like turned my stomach, like not in like a gross way, but like in a existential kind of way, you know? Like there's some sad shit in there that happens that I just could not get over. So yeah, I'm wondering how they will adapt that into the series, and I'm curious how they kind of explain it in this iteration. Warren was right when he said this might be one of the best MCU movies. Definitely. Damn, episode 4 of What If was wild. Yes, it was, and I do think that Shang-Chi in the end ties into this week's episode of What If, because I was looking into it. And I can't really talk about it specifically because it might spoil the movie. But there are some direct links to What If. Multiple things we've seen in What If so far. And things that are rumored to be seen in Multiverse of Madness. And some things that have been hinted at throughout WandaVision. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how all this ties in. And guys, I apologize. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. I have to step away for just a moment, so hang in there. Give you guys some time to throw in some questions, and I'll get back to right back to those. Okay? Be right back. We are back. Sorry about that. Lights. All right, where we leave off? Benedict Cumberbatch is just amazing in everything he's in. I'll be honest, like I haven't seen a flawed characterization come from that man in anything I've seen him in. And I haven't seen him in a shit ton of things, but everything he's been in has sounded great. Like as far like there's always like actors who like when they just do voice work, they don't always really bring it to life all that well. And I thought he did a fantastic job in this. His committed, like how committed he gets to things, like the behind the scenes for him being in Smaug or playing Smaug in the Hobbit films was really interesting. I thought he did a fantastic job with that. I'm a fan of his work in the Sherlock series over on the BBC. He's just talented, man. He's just really good. And despite whatever you think about the movie, I did like him in Star Trek Into Darkness as Khan. Spoilers. They did a really bad job at hiding who he was actually playing in that movie. But I thought he did a great job there too. And I've been loving him as Stephen Strange, man. Really, really, really do love Benedict Cumberbatch, man. Didn't know the original creators were ignored during the Avatar movie, so thanks. But they're doing their own thing with Paramount, and we get Netflix's adaptation, so more Atla for us at the end of the day. That is true. They've got their own Avatar dedicated studio now. Avatar Studios, which they run directly with Paramount and Nickelodeon. And I think we're getting a couple of Atla movies. So I'm curious what all we're going to kind of be getting from them in the next couple of years. You could do a top 10 MCU solo films. Good. I don't know. Should I do solo films or just the MCU in general? If I rank these things, what do you think? I think the Marvel Zombies is episode 7. Party Thor is the next episode. Party Thor? Oh, okay. I saw that and I knew that was an episode, but like obviously just the premise in general, I'm not sure how thrilled I am about that, but who knows? They might surprise me with it. And then that just makes me wonder what episode 6 is going to be then. I don't know what all the stories are going to be. Because I think, isn't one of them like where Spider-Man, like what if Spider-Man was the Sorcerer Supreme or something like that? I forget. I know that's in there. I know that's one of them. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Episode 4 of What If is exactly what I wanted What If to be. Thought it was perfect. Tuesday, I think, is when they put out the posters. That kind of makes sense since it's leading into the night before they release. Marvel Zombies comic is very dark and sad. It's a scary comic. Yes, it is. Is it next that comes from Star Wars a cartoon, Visions or something? Or am I going to watch that? I am. All of Visions releases on the same day. So that's going to be a little difficult to get all those out. There's 9 different stories. So I'm going to be... Obviously, it's probably going to take me about a week to get them all out. But I'm going to try to get through all of them as fast as I can, since they are all short films. So it's going to be really interesting. But after that's the next Star Wars thing we have. And then after that, the next one we have is in December when Book of Boba Fett comes out. And I'm really excited for that. I think the virus at the start of Civil War, where Wanda killed Crossbones, could be the zombie virus in the MCU. Like maybe if they hadn't stopped that, what was going on there with Crossbones, maybe if they hadn't stopped that, the virus that gets developed is the zombie virus. That'd be pretty interesting. And that's what I was predicting as well when the episode starts. From 1 to 10, how good was Shang-Chi? For me, I'd give it like a 9 or a 9.5, personally. After Visions, it's Boba Fett? Correct. Easy top 3 solo films for me. For me, it's my favorite solo film. It's like really close between it and the very first Iron Man. But I give this one just an edge because I just think it's better structured. And the villain, man, the villain is just better than Ironmonger to me than Gosh, Jeff Bridges' character. Why am I forgetting his name? Obadiah Stane. I think that's the only thing that kind of gives it a little bit of an edge. Apparently, What If Zombie episode is called What If Spider-Man Became a Zombie Hunter? Because there is merch that is called Zombie Hunter Spidey. The fuck? Okay. Alright, interesting. Interesting. Maybe that's the Spider-Man thing they were talking about then. Was the post-credit scene crazy, like an oh my god moment? I think it's more of a what the hell does this mean moment. I don't know. I think it'll be crazier with time because I think it's got implications to a lot of what is coming in the Marvel future, and we still don't have a lot of the puzzle pieces to really determine what that is and what that is going to look like. Like before with a lot of the post-credit scenes, like we would always get like, oh, Bucky's alive, or, you know, oh, Tony Stark just met Thunderbolt Ross. What does this mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like we know the implications because we know the world that's kind of already building and things about it. We're at a point in the MCU where we have no clue where it's going, what it's building to, except for a few things. And I think it's really opening the door to the other realities. And I think it's opening not just the multiverse, but I mean the other dimensions, like the dark dimension, possibly even hell. And they might be doing a thing where the dark dimension is hell in the MCU moving forward. I don't know. Because I thought that'll kind of be a spoiler, but I do think there's some definite ties to all of that are hinted at in this as well. And to everything going on in What If. I think it's all building up, and I think it's just going to be one of those puzzle pieces. The other, like the mid-credit scene and then the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene, I don't know what that's hinting. I don't know what that's to come. Is that going to be ties into a show? Another film? I don't know about that one. So I don't know. We'll just have to find out. Omni went to go fight the evil version of himself from another timeline. Yes. Which one came back? How do you know I'm not the evil version of... How do we know this version of me is not the evil version of this timeline? Huh? Do we? Do you? Anyway. Let's see. I think it's good. Kind of get into OG cartoons. Hope it's good because I'm not into that kind of OG cartoons. Oh yeah, they're going to be insane. The studios that they got doing these are really great as far as animation goes. And like, it's definitely not going to be OG cartoons. Like they're non-canon, so they're allowed to do whatever they want to do. Well, nah, he went to go do a number 2. How dare you? Did not. Nothing like the Far From Home post-credit scene. Oh yeah. See, like that's because we know like the personal stakes of the implications and stuff like that. I don't think we know the immediate stakes or consequences or ramifications at all of these post-credit scenes yet, because we don't have enough information. Like with Far From Home, when we got that mid-credit scene, like we were just like, oh shit, because we know the immediate consequences, we know the effects that's going to have, we know what that means. Same like with finding Bucky somewhere alive, finding the Winter Soldier trapped in and being like, I know your mom, blah blah blah, I am who I am. That whole thing. So like it's we don't know yet. It's just like more to ponder, more to chew on, which is like what a lot of the stuff going on with Marvel right now is. Like the Val thing at the end of Black Widow. Well, we have a little context for it. It's like, oh, she's building a team. That's cool. We have no idea why or what for, why she wants to kill Clint. Like there's a lot of puzzling questions. So I'm curious to see where where this stuff eventually builds. I think once we get an idea of the direction the MCU is going in, when we come back to this episode or this movie, I think things will. I think that'll hit even in a different way. Let's see. Hey man, love from Dublin, Ireland. Thoughts on Superman and Lois, and do you think they'll be able to keep up the fantastic quality and storytelling in season 2? I loved it. I got reactions to every episode of season 1, so if you haven't checked those out, I hope you do. I thought it was fantastic. I do think it, like, the Morgan Edge stuff lingered a little too long, but I credit that to the fact that they extended the season beyond what they actually ordered, because it started off with a 13 episode order and they extended it to 15. Don't know why they extended it to 15, but I think like extending to that extra 2 episodes made that kind of feel a little longer than it needed to be. But overall, I'd give the show a solid 9.5, something like that. It was so good. I really hope they don't break the CW curse and don't go downhill from here, because the first season was so focused and well told, well acted, well written. I really hope they keep it up, and I hope they can keep it up going into season 2. As far as keeping up the quality, I hope it's all there. And who knows, it might even get better, because they had been asking HBO for co-funding for all their upcoming series and orders, and we haven't heard whether or not they've agreed to that or not. So I'm hoping that moving forward that went through just fine, and who knows, maybe season 2 will even look better than season 1. We'll see. Also teases Shang-Chi's MCU future, and I guess you could say, for sure. The relationship between Katie and Shang-Chi was amazing to watch. I agree. It was very subtle, really well done. Their chemistry together was really one of the things that I really enjoyed about the movie. I thought they really came off like real friends, and like just the little subtleness to their back and forth, their banter, their interactions with one another throughout the movie. It was really endearing, and I liked the subtle growth that we saw with that as they are both going on this journey. It was really well done, and there's a really good reason for her to come along on the journey as well, I thought. Star Wars is deeply steeped in Japanese lore stories, so this upcoming Vision series will be the first time they've directly meshed the two. 100%, man. 100%. Am I going to go see the new Dragon Ball movie? Yes, I've seen all the Dragon Ball movies. So once the new one comes out in theaters, I will definitely be checking it out. For sure. Though I've been kind of loosely keeping up with the manga right now for Super, since the anime is on hiatus. I haven't been too thrilled with a lot of what I've been reading so far, so I'm wondering if this will take it into a different direction. So we'll see. Then again, I was a little disappointed with the Tournament of Power. Honestly, I'll be like, aside from the Broly movie, I've been disappointed with Dragon Ball Super since the final episode of the Goku Black arc. Let's see. Do MCU list in general. Sounds good, my dude. So episode 5 is Party Thor. Episode 6 is Killmonger, Tony Stark. 7 is Zombies. 8 is Gamora as Thanos. Where is this out? Has like the episode list been like leaked somewhere? Damn. Okay. Cool. Do I like Alex Danvers as a character? I do, and I think Chyler Leigh does a really good job at bringing that character to life. I think they struggle to find things for Alex to do, but I think I love her. Like her pairing with Kara, I love them as sisters. I love their dynamic. I think she's fantastic, man. I love it. I like the characters way more than I like the stories, though, most of the time. Am I into JoJo? I have seen a couple of episodes, but I would not see. I have not continued since. So I would say no. I'm not. I'm not. Not that I'm not. Not that I'm like against it. Not that I don't like it. I just have not had any motivation to continue. Katie from Shang-Chi or Nakia from Black Panther? Which one's Nakia? Nakia, Black Panther. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely Katie. Katie for me. That's who I thought it was, but I can't really remember. So I had to confirm. I definitely prefer Katie as far as like side characters or, childhood friendship characters go. I definitely preferred. I think there was just more built up between Katie and Shang-Chi in this as well. Because a lot of what had happened with Nakia and T'Challa was all in the past, and their interactions I never really cared about in the movie. They were that their little subplot, if you even want to call it that, was not anything that interested me at all in Black Panther. Has anyone heard who's voicing Zombie Hunter Spidey and What If? I've searched and searched all throughout the cast list online, and almost everyone is listed, but not Spidey. I'm very interested in that. I wonder why. Because it's probably not Tom Holland, which makes you wonder who is it. Or they just don't want to reveal it yet. But it is kind of suspect. That is suspect for sure. What If for Secret Invasion series, it's more of a guess the variant situation rather than guess who the Skrull is. It could be. But I feel like with the way it's going in the direction and obviously them being in space, I think it's going to be more tied to Skrulls, though. I think it'll still be more tied to that. I'm glad Brandon Routh is coming back for Ray for Flash event. Will Ryan Choi finally become the Atom? I think so. I think they will finally make that handoff, and I think this might be a final goodbye to Ray Palmer. Not that they kill him off, which I hope they don't, but actually a passing of the torch, since I feel like that was something they wanted to do in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but didn't have time to do it. You think they are ever going to bring back Cloak and Dagger and the Marvel Runaways? I never watched either one of those shows, so I don't know. I don't think they were nearly as popular as some of the other things, so maybe some hints, Easter eggs, or anything like that. I'm not too sure. Anything's possible right now, especially with the multiverse and everything going on. Who knows? Do you think everything is building towards Kang as the next big bad? I don't know if it's building towards Kang being the next big bad. I think Kang is a big part of what is to come, but I don't know if he's being built up as like a big bad. I think he might be being built up as this long time like entity that is kind of interfering with everything. So I don't know. I really hope that eventually it gets, personally, I hope it eventually gets to Galactus. And I know I'm not alone in that, so, or even original in thinking that. That's where I'm going. For me, who is Norwegian and had to learn about Norse mythology at school, probably the Thor movies are the ones I like the best. There are so many funny stories about Loki and Odin. See, that's really cool, and I've always kind of wondered that about the Marvel Thor and how that's kind of perceived in places where that was very prominent. So I like that you guys, that you at least have like a fun perspective on that. Like I know a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. I know a little bit about Norse mythology, not much. But I know a lot of the weird off the wall kind of things about Loki specifically, that have been referenced a few times throughout the show. So, but there's so much to draw from. There's so much depth to Norse mythology. So I'd like to see them tap into more of it. Steven said he will still play Oliver again and loves it, but if he loved it, why'd he end it? Because the show was not the same as it had been. At the time, he was burned out on it. He wanted to do something new. He wanted to leave. He wanted season 7 to be his last season. But they paid him a shit ton of money to do a shortened season 8 so they can close it out properly. He was just wanting to do something else, you know? It's that same envy, and he even lamented on it going forward. Like, he had that depression leaving it because he had lived in that world for so long. Like, after you do the same thing for so long, it becomes routine, it becomes monotonous, and you want to try something different. You want to break out, you want to give something else a try. When you've given your all to one thing for 8 years, it can weigh on you a lot, and that's definitely how he was feeling, because he's talked about it quite a bit. But it was like the only thing he knew. It was he had this family he had built throughout the whole thing. So when he left, obviously he missed it, and he had to fight that urge to like go back to it because he wants to do other things and not only be known for being Oliver Queen. So it's always this like pros and cons, this push and pull of do I leave my comfort zone to try something else? And once he broke out, he's at least got a show with stars right now that is getting really good reviews. So at this point, like, he feels like he's not as beholden to it anymore. He's not just that now. So maybe at this point he feels more comfortable returning to that now than continuing to be the only thing most people even know him for at this point. So like, I'm excited to see him kind of come around on that, because I mean, just last year he was saying he would not go back again. Like, he would say, even if they asked me, I would probably say no. So that's kind of where he was at. And I think it's because it would tempt him to want to stay or lament his decision of leaving. So it's pretty interesting, because there's a lot of layers to that, because there's also safety in a show like that, because they could have just kept making Arrow, and he didn't want it to like go out with ill will in mind. Like, he didn't want it to run it into the ground. He wanted to leave it before they got to that point. I'm sure it had some rocky episodes here and there, but he definitely didn't want it to be what a lot of people are saying about The Flash right now, like overstaying its welcome. But at the same time, there's like a safety net of this reliable income. It's a stable job for him as the lead in it. It was this safety net that he chose to walk away from, and it was scary for a time, especially because immediately after that the pandemic hit, and then it was completely unsure or unknown whether or not Heels was going to get picked up or not. So, and it did, and it's been successful so far from what I've been hearing, so I'm all happy for him. And I think he's just probably going to be in a more healthy spot to come back to it, because he's had a break from it, so he'll be refreshed. So if he did come back, it wouldn't be like, just another season of Arrow. And now he'd be like, all right, let's just get these shoes back on and like see how it goes. It might be fun for him to come back now and not just like another chore, So who knows? It could be interesting. We wouldn't have gotten Superman flashback episode 11 if they didn't extend the season. It was one of my favorites. That's true. That was a pretty good episode. I do agree. But I'm wondering if the John episode was one of the extended ones, where they had him come in. Because there's a few times it felt like you could have ended the season. So I'm really curious about what the original plan was for the season as a whole. I love Simu Liu already, especially since he's a genuine fan. Agreed. A lot of the stuff I've seen with him outside of this, like press releases, interviews, just off the wall thing he's done, seems like a really down to earth dude too. All right, Omni, I gotta head out whenever you read this. I pushed my college studying off for long enough. I can relate, man. I can relate to that so hard, man. But I'm glad you stuck around as long as you could. But yeah, get your studying done. Your college is way more important than me. But then again, I definitely understand and appreciate needing to step away from stuff like that for a minute to kind of get a breather in. I really hope all the 6 heroes in Armageddon contribute to the whole story and aren't just one-off experiences or appearances. Like, all of them are in the final battle and stuff, you know what I mean? See, that's what I'm wondering about, because the way that Eric Wallace talked about the structure of the crossover was that each episode would be its own crossover. That was his initial statement about it. Not that they would all contribute to a massive crossover. He said not to think about it like that. So I don't really know what to expect with the structuring of it, because it makes me imagine that not all of them are going to be in every episode. Like, I don't know that we're going to build up to a big team battle. That's not what he said. So that definitely gives me pause on how this is going to play out. Demon Slayer needs a better ending. Reading the aftermath, taking 6 years, the entering Tom's towers. I don't know anything about Demon Slayer, because everything right there is just like foreign to me. I I don't know any. I know the name of it. I don't even know what the characters look like. I have no idea what it's about. I assume demon slaying, but I have not looked into it whatsoever. To be honest, the cast for Armageddon feels like they got anyone they could, rather than the people whose appearances would make sense. I don't know about that. Obviously, Javicia Leslie appearing makes sense. Alex Danvers, that makes sense. Black Lightning makes sense to me. Chris Williams wants to keep playing the character, so if he's still active in the world, have him come in. I think the interesting thing to me was having Ryan Choi and Brandon Routh come in, Ray Palmer come in to the story. I didn't expect that, but because they didn't have a proper send-off. And I think they're trying to give proper send-offs in this to things that didn't necessarily get it. And I think that because Green Arrow and the Canaries didn't get picked up, that might be one of the reasons they're getting Mia Queen come in, because she couldn't commit to a... I think one of the signs that the show wasn't going to get picked up is because she already signed on as the lead in another show. After they had been negotiating that for a while, so that probably aided to it falling off. So, like, I think that they're wanting to bring in things to close off storylines they didn't get to close off. Like, they obviously left off that Green Arrow and the Canaries episode with a cliffhanger about what happened to William? Where's William? Who kidnapped William? And maybe this crossover in a way will give us answers to that, since the show's not getting picked up. So I hope not. I hope that's at least what's going on with it for sure. But it does feel like it's a really interesting collection of people to come in. And the fact they're bringing in Damien Dark and Reverse Flash also gives me a lot of pause to wonder what's going to happen with the fact that it's an alien invasion coming. Like, there's Damien Dark and... because also then they confirmed, I think, that Despero is involved in this invasion. So we got Despero, Reverse Flash, and Damien Dark. Are they all working together? Is Reverse Flash and Damien Dark going to help them against this alien invasion? Like, I'm curious to see how this whole thing comes about. Just because those two are coming back doesn't mean anything. You say Midnight Suns, but that is not coming soon, like anytime soon. What? Maybe, did I miss a comment? I don't know what that one was in reference to about Midnight Suns. I don't see anybody else talking about Midnight Suns. Carl is getting a live action version, but the others aren't. We don't know which one is which, though. What If is canon in the MCU multiverse so far? What would you like to see in the MCU film or see more of? Dark Doctor Strange. I want to see more of him. I want to see that character come back. I know we're going to be seeing him again in What If, but I'd love to see him fiddle around with the multiverse some more. Especially finding out that a version of him got to survive without having lost his love and all this stuff, and get to have this better, more interesting life. I'd like to see him like kind of lament over that, and maybe feel a bit more jealous or envious of that, and see what that causes. Captain Carter, I'd like to see more of. Yeah, I don't know. That out of what we've seen so far with What If, those are the two characters I'd like to see come back the most. Obviously, we can't bring back T'Challa for more sad and serious reasons, but out of the two, I think those would make the most sense to bring back around in the manner that they've been showing. Let's see. Should bring back Stephen Amell back as a variant of Hawkeye. Dude, if Stephen Amell showed up in the MCU as a Hawkeye variant who was green, that would be some good shit. That would be some good shit right there. I was watching Oscar Isaac's combat training for Moon Knight, and it seems very clear from that the Moon Knight is going to be very bit as insane and violent as it should be. So I'm stoked for that. I'm really excited to learn about that world and that character more, because that's another character that I've never really known much about outside of they were a playable character in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That's about all I've known from the character at all, and I never used them.
It's crazy how, well, I mean, I know a little bit, like the personalities and stuff, but that's about it. And I just learned that looking into the character himself once it was announced. It's crazy how No Way Home got so many leaks, but nothing from Multiverse of Madness, and they filmed everything in the studio or something. I don't know. Maybe they did. You never know. With something like Multiverse of Madness, I would imagine that a lot of it probably has to be done in like a VFX stage. I can't remember, maybe I'm making this up, that they used the volume technology that was developed for Star Wars to shoot it as well, to aid in that. But I imagine a lot of that, especially since they're going into the multiverse and stuff and like that, there's going to be a lot of elements of that movie that are probably just going to be green screen and blue screen. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. Do you think Hawkeye has the biggest disadvantage out of any of the MCU shows? Because unlike Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and WandaVision, there isn't a show you can directly compare it to, like Hawkeye with Arrow. That's a good point. That's a good point, but I think tonally, it's just going to be very different than Arrow. So while they are very similar, they have a different origin, they have a different background, they have a different style and pathos to it. So I feel like it'll definitely stand out from Arrow as far as the show goes. But I think the disadvantage Hawkeye is going to have is I feel like most people don't give a shit about Hawkeye. And if anything, they might be drawn in by Florence Pugh's involvement in the show and Katie Steinfeld. So I think those two will draw people into the show more than the actual Hawkeye premise of it all, the Clint Barton premise of it all. Have I tried the energy drink yet? No, I have not seen it. I haven't really went out to try to find it yet either, so I have not tasted it yet. Multiverse of Madness was shot using 100% practical effects. Dude, if they did, that would be such a feat. I'd be so surprised, man. Cap actually stuff has been leaked with set photos. I haven't seen any set photos for Multiverse of Madness. When the tentacles came out, I thought he was going to encounter Captain Carter. I thought that as well. I thought, is she going to like pop? Is this where she pops out of the portal? But who knows? They both fought this beast now, so I'm wondering if it transcends dimensions and maybe even realities, maybe through interactions with that plane, that dimension, is what ties these two characters together. Because maybe their interaction moving forward happens while she's in that in-between realm. Like when she goes into the portal and before she comes out of the portal in the present day in her own episode. Maybe they interact within that reality, that pocket dimension where these fear lords live. Or these many-angled ones live. I was wanting as a director to make a live-action Akira movie and make some... Supposedly the live-action Akira movie is still happening with Taika Waititi, but we'll see. That seems to be in a development hell at this point. Yo, just finished Shang-Chi. Still waiting in theater to see the final credit. Hell yeah, man. You want to come in right after seeing the movie. Nice. Hope you liked it. And there's so many new Marvel movies coming. Just imagine what the next Avengers movie is going to be like. I'm sure it's going to be insane. I hear X-Men might be in the next Doctor Strange movie. Come on, anyone could turn up. Who would you like to see? Might be Deadpool on the way in the MCU. Might be Deadpool's way into the MCU. I think it's very likely we'll see Deadpool in the MCU before we get Deadpool 3. And if anything's going to be likely to show us a glimpse of the X-Men or anything from the Fox universe, it's going to be Multiverse of Madness. I would wholeheartedly expect to see the X-Men or Deadpool at the very least make a pop-up in there or a quick cameo. But yeah, I'd love to see something like that. But more than anything, I'm still waiting for the Defenders, man, or just Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Same, but for Grant Gustin as the Marvel character Buried Alien, which was a tribute character based on the Flash after the Flash died on Crisis on Earths in the comics. Aw, didn't know that. I didn't know that one. I did not know that one. That's funny. Can't wait for Tim to become Robin. Jason made a big mistake. Connor and Blackfire ending up a couple, maybe? Who knows? she's definitely checking him out repeatedly, and I don't blame her, man. But he's like, his genuine heart, I think, is something that's going to maybe cut through. And I'd always heard that she's going to be the main villain of the story, and I'm just wondering how that comes back around, and if that's even true, or if it just stays Scarecrow for the rest of the season. Got a lot of questions about it. But yeah, I really like their scenes, like the ones with Connor and Blackfire. And yeah, I'm really curious to see how Tim continues to get wrapped up into all of this. Because Tim wasn't somebody Bruce was looking to recruit either. So this is going to be somebody that I think finds Batman and volunteers. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they unfold this story, because obviously they're doing something very different from the comics. Steven, Green Arrow versus MCU Hawkeye. I think Steven would kick Hawkeye's butt. Yeah. Hawkeye's got a more variety of arrows, but I think based on what we've seen from both shows, Steven's just like, his version of his character is just a much better fighter. He can fight well without a bow, and with one, he's unstoppable, man. He's I think I don't know where they would line up comic book fighting Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. I know there was like a Death Battle episode about it, but they're always kind of hit or miss. I don't remember who won that, and I don't really know enough about their comic book counterparts to really say. But MCU Hawkeye versus Arrowverse Green Arrow, I think Green Arrow would kick his ass. And I don't even think I feel like it would be pretty one-sided. Could be fooling us. I feel like the Fear Lord. Oh shit, I didn't even think about that. Marcus. Maybe that's not her kids. I mean, I thought that before, but that was when I was still like, is it Mephisto calling out, trying to lure her in with her kids? Because I didn't think it was just her kids in a different universe. I think you're right. I think you might be spot on, because that ties into some things we've heard from Multiverse of Madness. It ties into what's going on in the 2 episodes of What If, and it definitely links it to Shang-Chi. Good call out, Marcus. Didn't think about that. Just out of Shang-Chi here in Ireland. Really enjoyed it. First cinema trip in 18 months. Well, I hope it was a safe, enjoyable trip for you. I hope it wasn't too big of a rowdy crowd and you had a good watch. Nobody ruining the experience, but I'm glad you liked the movie. Mutants will be introduced before the X-Men, so one of these upcoming movies has to introduce. Yeah, I agree. I think mutants will be introduced obviously before we actually have the X-Men team. And Feige had talked about introducing the X-Men individually before they actually become a team. So I think it's definitely not going to be the same way that we introduce them off and see how they come about in this. And when DC killed him off by having him become the lightning that originally struck him, Marvel has buried Alan, who appears in a comic called The Great Speedster Race, and he beats everybody. Oh, that's some, see, that's like some wholesome shit right there. That's like back when Marvel and DC were just playful friends, like back in the day when they were just both steeped in their comics and stuff like that. Have to head off. Thanks, man. You're a good dude. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Carl. I hope you have a great day, evening, or whatever. Evil Doctor Strange equals MCU Mephisto? Maybe. Who knows? I thought that too. Like, maybe he becomes... That's the way they get around the whole China thing, like where they can't have demons or demonology appear at all, and they can't have the devil involved whatsoever. So that could be their way around it. So it'd be... I was kind of thinking that as well, especially with him absorbing all of these. Now, they didn't call them demons, but they were clearly meant to be demons. So I think that might be their way around it. But I think it might be some other entity. I don't know. But I do think the Dark Dimension is going to have some tie to it. Maybe the Dark Dimension isn't just where Dormammu lives. Maybe it's also where all these creatures live. But there's definitely going to be some ties into it for sure. Cool Zoom shirt. Thank you. Been imagining a high school Flash. Okay. Sounds good. Is this just me or the dragon look a lot like Roku's dragon from Avatar? Well, not really. It was a multicolored. I mean, it's the same style of dragon. I mean, obviously they took inspiration from the Chinese mythological dragons, the water dragons in general, which is more authentic to the actual mythology because dragons in Chinese culture are more related to water than they are to fire, like with Western dragons. And I think Avatar kind of marries the two. But yeah, it was definitely more like it was white, green, red. It was like all kinds of different colors. But it's definitely the same type of dragon that inspired Roku's for sure. Like Barry Allen, The Flash, and him dealing with high school and all these problems. So just Spider-Man with the Speed Force? Not the color of the dragon, but the design, I mean. Well, definitely. I'd also want Melissa Benoist as a variant of Carol Danvers or Captain Marvel. That would also be funny. I also think it's funny because it's Kara Danvers and then Carol Danvers for Captain Marvel and Supergirl. And also Power Girl, if you want to include her as well. It makes sense because there are many mutants, members of the X-Men. And also, the mutants are many. Yes, there's so many mutants. So many. So I think it would be nice to kind of gradually introduce them before rather than just so they all kind of have their characterizations built up. Because I think one of the flaws that even existed in the First Class films is like not everybody really had a lot of layers, depth, or characterization to their characters. Because a lot of it obviously the movie had to be sped up. They were already met. They were already together. They were the X-Men. It was about the X-Men. They were already a team. So, and that was a problem, I think, with the earlier Fox films as well, with the Hugh Jackman ones as well. Like, a lot of the development was saved for Wolverine and for Rogue in the films. We didn't really see a lot of depth, layers, or anything fleshed out about the other characters. So I think Marvel really is what the MCU does that is different from everybody else is it really cares about the characters at the core of who they are. And rather than just, all right, here's our X-Men movie. Here's Cyclops, Storm, Beast, Storm, Jean, all these just people just thrown together, and we're introduced to them as a group. You don't get to know them when you do it that way. It'd be like just introducing the Avengers without having any of their solo films. You won't get to know them on a more personal level if they're introduced as a group. So I think that's going to be the best way to do it. And it makes sense with the strategy that the MCU kind of has with their characters. I'm going to say this spoiler free, so sorry if it's confusing, but there's a character in Shang-Chi's post-credit scene that looked different from the last time we saw him. I have many questions about that. I have one theory that I posed in our Discord, and I think it has ties to their appearance in one of the upcoming MCU Disney Plus shows. So I think that what causes that show to exist might be the reason that this person looks the way they do now. Please tell me if that made any sense at all. If that made sense, Crashing. What's up, GX? No problem, man. I was late to making this stream happen. So no worries there. I think they could do a period piece show about Wolverine, like pre-Captain America First Avenger, like we see Logan fighting a bunch of his prehistory main MCU introductions. I would love that. I think that would be really cool. Like Wolverine throughout the years, like see a bunch of the different periods like he was involved in. That would be really interesting. That'd be really interesting. I like those aspects of Wolverine's past, so that'd be fun to see them play around with that, I think. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. Oh, looks like I already did that. And that's all I do on these. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this. Boop. All right, let's see. make complete sense, but people who haven't seen the movie are probably super confused right now, for sure. Definitely. Like, because if you know the origins of the Disney Plus show that is coming down the line, you know how that person gets pulled into this world and becomes the person that they are. So maybe the process of that causes this retroactively. Don't know. Kind of glad, though. Kind of glad, because I'm one of those people that's not been a huge fan of what they have ended up doing with the character in recent films, so we'll see. I saw Blade for the first time, and it was awesome. I can't wait for Mahershala Ali as Blade. I'm looking forward to Blade, but it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to be, because Blade I loved. Like, it took me many years to even learn that was a comic book movie. Even though I grew up with the Spider-Man show, which had Blade as a guest star periodically, I never put two and two together that those were the same character. And I don't know how, for all those years watching it over and over on the VHS, I never noticed the Marvel logo. But it's going to be one of those things where I'm definitely going to be comparing it, because I do have a lot of really fond memories of Wesley Snipes' Blade, specifically the first two films. So I am looking forward to it, but it's going to be one of those things where I'm just kind of like excited to see where they go with that and how he does with it. But I do like Mahershala Ali, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. And just having Blade in the MCU, obviously bringing vampires in the whole situation is going to be fun. Think of Patty as the Gwen Stacy to Barry Allen. I mean, Gwen left for London, Patty left for Central. Now Gwen dies. Patty maybe did, but Barry finds his MJ, Iris, and Lucy and Patty just like that. And also Patty in the comics becomes a villain, or more of an anti-hero. So, but Gwen doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, I can see the parallel, though. I do like Patty Spivot, though. And she's going to be in the Flash film. Like Wolverine fought in the American Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the American Civil War, World War I, World War II, etc. Though I never understood why he fought in American wars, given he's Canadian. Right? I've never understood that either. I never have. It just really depends on which part. I can't remember which hemisphere, which version of Canada, which version. Like, there's multiple versions. Which province was he originally from in Canada? Because, I mean, the French helped in some of those wars, and the French primarily dominated most of the Canadian region at that time. So that could be why, because they did have a hand in a lot of those American-based fights. Maybe that's why? Do you think the post-credit scene takes place after the beginning of that particular Disney Plus show? Probably. Unless it says otherwise once the show comes out, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Or at least I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case, because it's going to be pretty, like, because I don't know why else they would look the way they do. Don't know. We'll see. Might understand him fighting the Civil War, given Logan would probably be against slavery, but the Revolutionary War? Yeah, again, the French involvement could be part of that. I don't know. I think they were just really fascinated with him living a long time and just being all over the place, and it was just fun seeing him in there, whether it made sense or not. But I'm really excited to see what they do with this, though I have no idea who they're going to cast. And like with Blade, they're going to have like one of those times trying to get somebody to not only live up to, but also kind of differentiate themselves from Hugh Jackman's performance. It's going to be like, you know, if they ever recast an Iron Man of the future with a reboot, it's going to be like one of those things where you're always going to compare them. Kind of like when with Silence of the Lambs and then the Hannibal series. Like, it was always like, how can you recast Hannibal Lecter as Mads Mikkelsen when Anthony Hopkins has defined the character? And my God, did Mads blow that shit out of the water. He's easily become my favorite version of the Hannibal Lecter character, and that show is amazing. If you haven't seen the Hannibal series, watch it. Hot take, had more chemistry than with Iris in the earlier seasons. I agree with that. I do. I think that's the case as well. I think those two actors had way more chemistry on screen. 100%. I think Marvel has a right to wait in introducing. I think Marvel was right. Okay, I read that as had the right. Was right to wait in introducing the Mandarin. I do too. Even though I still hold true that the comic book version of the Mandarin, at least, would have been a better foil for Iron Man and Iron Man 3 and what he was going through than what they did. But I do think we got a richer, more interesting character that they didn't do that. So now I feel a little bit better about that whole thing and them doing this bait and switch with Iron Man 3. So in a way, this movie makes me feel a little bit better about Iron Man 3 than I ever have. In the movies, it makes sense because it's set up that his brother is kind of insane and Logan just follows his brother into battle. Yeah, that's also true. Which it just depends on how they go with it, what version of the character they kind of, and his backstory they go with. Trying to decide if I should see Eternals in IMAX or Dolby. Well, I only have the option of Dolby where I live, unless I want to drive 3 or 4 hours to go to an IMAX theater. I've still never seen a film in IMAX outside of a theme park, like with the motion rides. That's the only time I've ever seen, and it's not even a movie. It was just a ride-based video that is playing into this 3D experience. It's still not, I've still never seen an actual film in IMAX, sadly. Who would win in a hand-to-hand fight? Steve Rogers or Shang-Chi? No rings and no shield. I think, well, one, we know Captain America is faster and stronger, but Shang-Chi is a much better fighter. I think there's a strong chance in a hand-to-hand straight fight, without the shield, without the rings, Shang-Chi might win that fight. I think Shang-Chi could probably win that fight. It would be a hard fight. It'd be a close fight. But if it's shield versus rings, I think if you give Shang-Chi the rings, I think he would wipe the floor with Captain America. I wonder how Barry would have been if Zoom killed Patty along with Henry. Don't know. It'd probably drive Barry over the edge. He lost 2 people he cared about to someone he trusted. Story of his life. IMAX definitely. Dolby is more of a sound experience. IMAX has a bigger screen, thus more things to be seen. Prefer Dolby over IMAX. No Way Home, you have to take that long ride for it. It's a must-see in IMAX. Maybe. I might do it, man. Might do it. It's wild how 2 members of the JSA are alive, excluding Pat. That's true. It is true. And I'm wondering how they're going to explain that, because we know the Shade, I guess, just captured Dr. Midnight, and I don't know how he's not starving to death unless the Shade is just bringing him food periodically. But I'm wondering if the Shade had a hand in Starman's survival as well. But why he needs Dr. Midnight to be trapped in the Shadow Realm. I'm really curious about what we learn about all of that. So curious about it. Agree Shang-Chi would win. It's strength versus skill. It's like Oliver versus Slade in the Arrow. Exactly. 100%. Central City Citizen must have Iris typing her fingers off for it to be number 4 in the country. Right? When I saw that list in Supergirl of all the different trades, I was almost expecting to see the Smallville Gazette on that list. Just for Lois alone. But it wasn't, sadly. But yeah, just to have the Central City Citizen on that list at all is funny to me. Yeah, for Eternals though, I think that might be a different story because I feel like that's definitely going to be shot with the necessary device for it. So it'd be pretty interesting to see that. Comic book Cap said Shang-Chi is a better martial artist than he is. Also true. Thank you, Grumpy Panda. It'd be pretty interesting. I think, if I remember right, in the Amalgam comics, when Batman confronted Captain America, I think Batman admitted he might lose to Captain America. And I was like, what? I don't know about that, man. I can't remember, though. I could be wrong or misremembering that. Unless the Shadow Realm stops time, hence why the Shade is basically immortal. That could be possible. I didn't think about that. Good catch, Caleb. What about Oliver Queen versus Shang-Chi? I think that would be a tie. Just by nature of the characters, I think Shang-Chi would beat Oliver. Again, it would be a great fight if we're talking hand-to-hand, no arrows, no rings, no nothing. In a straight hand-to-hand fight, I would have to imagine Shang-Chi would win. It's like Shang-Chi's thing, right? Is hand-to-hand fighting. It's like his shtick. Oliver is like he's versatile at like everything. Hand-to-hand, yeah, he's really great at it. But his thing is archery. He's great at martial arts, but like Shang-Chi is very dedicated to his one craft. One craft. So I think that gives him an edge. Can't wait for Shang-Chi tomorrow. Sadly, not in IMAX or Dolby. Hey man, right there with you. Any ideas on what I want Avatar Studios to tackle? I want an adaptation of the Kyoshi novels. That's one thing I wanted to, I kind of was thinking about having them touch upon was maybe diving into the Kyoshi stuff because I've still not read those yet. But I'd also like to just see an Avatar we've not seen before. Just go again, start another Avatar in a different age and a different era. Maybe even take it more ancient than we've seen before. Not like ancient, not like early days. Because honestly, I still to this day don't really like the origin that they gave in Korra for bending and the Avatar, Rava, and all that stuff. Still not a huge fan of it. But I would like for them to maybe just do a different era in general. Different Avatar. Or just expand on things that we... Maybe even not even follow an Avatar. Just follow another great... like, hero in history at some point. I don't know. There's a lot of things they could do. There's a lot vast... I just want them to expand the mythology. That's really what I want them to do. I don't necessarily need more Aang and gang, but I would like to see the world expanded upon. Is there a good movie next week? Let me check again. I think there was one thing I wanted to see next week. I think it's Malignant. James Wan's Malignant. I think that's the only thing coming out next week I care about at all. No, okay. So there's James Wan's Malignant and Kate. I do want to see Kate because I stand Mary Elizabeth Winstead a little too much. I didn't realize Woody Harrelson was in that movie. So yeah, I definitely want to see Malignant and I definitely want to see Kate. I want an Avatar manga. Could run for a good 234 chapters, and they want to add Korra along, then they could have maybe something long story. I want an Avatar anthology series, maybe 5 episodes for each Avatar throughout the years. That would be cool, like a history lesson on all the Avatars throughout time. That'd be fun. That'd be cool, like kind of like a flashback recap, greatest hits of like their life or something like that. Because I'd really like to see more about Avatar Kuruk, especially from what we learned in the Kyoshi novels about... Because I've read about the Kyoshi novels, I haven't actually read them, that they expand on his backstory a little bit more. And it's way more interesting than what he told Aang. Because what he told Aang was basically a lie. He said I was going to go with the flow avatar. I kind of neglected my responsibilities to the world, and that's actually not true. He over-dedicated himself to the world, and just never took credit for any of the things he did. And I think it was Avatar Wang Chung who actually got credit for a lot of the things that he did, which was actually cleaning up her mess. Yeah, his story is really tragic. I would really like that, because like once I learned about that, I was like, oh, wow, holy shit, sounds really cool. He's more of like a demon hunter, spirit hunter kind of guy. Malignant looks interesting. I don't know if it looks good yet. It does look stylized and really interesting. I just like James Wan's style of horror in general. I know it's not for everybody, but I'm really looking forward to it. Gonna see Shang-Chi tomorrow. Really excited. Hell yeah, man. Let me know what you think. That way you can tell many new stories with new characters as long and as more of Roku or more of Aang in his old years. Yeah, I'd like some older. Like, I'd like to see like what some of the things that Aang, Sokka, and them did like in their later years. I want to know Suki's legacy. Suki just gets shafted so much in the history of these stories, man. Team Suki all the way. Do you think Shang-Chi and Katie will be a couple down the line? I prefer them as best buds. I agree with that. I don't. I would be fine as long as it feels like a natural progression. And they never really hinted too much at that possibility. I like them as friends, but sometimes that can evolve into more. As long as they have a natural progression into it, sure, go with it. I don't think everybody needs to have that kind of relationship involved or forced into your story, but as long as they make it natural and make sense, because their dynamic was so fluid and rich and natural that I really liked it. So as long as it continues to feel like that, maybe it leads to it. Don't know. Have you seen the meme of Kirsten Dunst MJ? Which meme? There's a lot of memes for regarding Kirsten Dunst MJ. I still want a Star Wars manga and Star Wars anime adaptation. There are some. Speaking of Avatar, thoughts on Viacom CBS publishing announcing that they're making a children's novel trilogy adapting the original show. I had not heard of that. That's interesting. So making a novel out of it, children's novel out of it. I mean, sure, as long as it doesn't change anything significantly, go for it. I'd really totally enjoy a Red Lotus prequel. That would be cool. I'm not gonna lie, that would be cool. Zahir and his gang, I think that would be pretty cool. No, this is very random. Where do you place once a Ranger team up in Operation Overdrive among the others? Like compared to the team ups in general, or because I loved it. Once a Ranger, let's be honest, for me, Operation Overdrive had some really great moments in it, but its greatest weakness to me was that the Rangers themselves were not really in it out of the goodness of their own hearts. So really, once a Ranger happened, it just really further highlighted what was so good about all of what's come before. I don't hate Operation Overdrive, but it is obviously, for me, one of the weaker seasons and weaker teams. I was just like, damn, it just makes them look like whiny little punks. I love that crossover, and I love giving Adam the lead in it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But I mean, how do you top Forever Red? Forever Red, I think, is still like the greatest one they've done. What's up? Haven't seen Shang-Chi yet because I'm currently trying to finish binging the Marvel movies. Well, get to it, Larson. And once you've seen it, let me know. Shang-Chi's sister gave me Scorpion vibes from MK. Yeah, with that, I forget what that weapon's called. But yeah, I can definitely see that. I like seeing people fight with that. I wish I could remember what it's called. I'm blanking on it right now. I mean, it's not... I mean, it is a kunai, but kunai is also a Japanese tool. but it's a specific blade and rope with a weighted rope combo, because it's got the ball on the other end that's used for weighting it down and using as a weapon as well. There's a specific thing that whole item is called, and I can't recall at the moment what it is, but it was badass. She was like, I like that they all had their own kind of distinguishing weapon style and all that. It was a lot of fun seeing them play around with it. Just got back from after I got a notification. Your reaction to Rockstar's. How are you doing? How are you doing both the live and uploading your video? I recorded it before we went live. While we have been live, I have also been waiting for it to finish uploading, and I just posted it while we were live. So I was just multitasking throughout the stream, technically. Not much, but yeah. Let's see Shang-Chi tomorrow, and I'm so excited. I've heard so many good things. The part I'm excited for is the Abomination scenes. It's a pretty good scene. It's a pretty good scene. Just looked up the Kyoketsu Shogi. Again, that's... Hold on. Yeah, I mean, I can't really find any other name for it, so I'll just go with that along with you there, man. Because it looks similar, but it's also different from that, so I don't know. There you are. What are you? You're really just going to call it rope dart? I mean, that's kind of like what a lot of these things call it, is just a rope dart. Kung Fu rope dart javelin. Come on, what it... Literally everything is calling it a rope dart. Wushu rope dart. Okay. It's got to have a traditional name, man. Sheng Biao. There we go. Is that right? Anyway, whatever. Man, Daryl gave me Chris Redfield vibes in that train scene. Oh, we talking about Walking Dead? Yeah, he did, man. Which, guys, did you see the cast photos for the Netflix Resident Evil, the live action Resident Evil movie with Robbie Amell and all that? Like, gosh, it looks like a fan film. I hope it's good. I think specifically I want to capture the children's YA fantasy audience. I don't know how I feel about that. I thought YA children's fantasies are bad. For every Twilight, there's a Harry Potter. I mean, there's also a difference between children's novels and young adult novels, so it depends on which version of those they're leaning into. What's up, man? What's up, T-Ski? Right now we're just kind of all over the place. Talking about Shang-Chi, we're talking about What If, we're talking about Avatar Studios and what projects in the Avatar universe they might be able to do going forward. We're kind of all over the place at the moment. Early reviews for Dune are dazzling. Pretty excited to check it out. I can't wait. Really can't wait to finally kind of see what this world's about. If you could get an anime version of all the episodes, who would you pick? Naruto animators, Bleach animators, Dragon Ball animators, or My Hero animators? I still have not seen My Hero outside of the first episode, so I don't know how crazy that gets. Probably Bleach. I'd probably go with the Bleach animators. They're more consistent. But if we're talking Naruto animators, whoever does their big epic fights, because they switch studios, they switch animators all over the place. And they have one that does like the normal stuff, and then they have one that does all the crazy over the top action ones. I'll always love the crazy over the top action scenes, and I like what they do. But like Studio Mir would be a good one too, I think. Walking Dead Train one shot and the Shang-Chi one shot were similar. Kinda. Who's my favorite character in How I Met Your Mother? That's a tough one. Damn, why am I forgetting their names? It's been a long time since I've seen How I Met Your Mother. Probably Marshall. Studio Parrot. Yeah, okay. Studio Parrot or Studio Mirror, I think. Be who I'd want. Hi, man. Recently bought the 60s animated Spider-Man collection. The one with the meme. Good on you, man. I've never actually watched it. Let me know what you think. Well, not really. YA is a big genre, and books originally marketed as children's novels can get upgraded as the series go on, like Harry Potter originally was children's novels, but now I find it young. Hey, fair point. Good point. Do I think Benedict had to hide his face during that interview because he had Strange Supreme makeup on? I forgot about that. I forgot he had that interview where he had to hide his face because his face could be a spoiler. Oh, it's either Strange Supreme or it's Dark Strange makeup. Like from What If, like that Strange. I don't know. Good point. Good catch. I completely forgot about that old interview. Well, it's old now, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Any final questions before we go here? I know we're we're just over 2 hours, so I'll let everybody kind of get in some questions. If you're not already, come hang out on the Discord. There's a link to our Discord in the description of the video, so check that out and come hang out, and we can talk about stuff there whenever I get a chance. I try to engage as often as possible. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up so I can get ready for dinner. I know I'm just kind of like late with everything going on, but yeah. How is your hair so flawless? Oh, it is. The beanie is how I keep this thing manageable. And I've been debating about getting a haircut again, like just chopping it all off. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call it flawless, but I appreciate that one. They have animated like the biggest shows like Yu Yu Hakusho and Naruto, Black Clover, Tokyo Ghoul, and more. But is Tokyo Puro like the main animator for Naruto, or are they the ones that do the action scenes in Naruto? Because there's two different people that animate that for sure, because the animation style always changes whenever something's about to get big. Man, Yu Yu Hakusho is such a good anime, man. I miss that show so much. That's why I like got my little Hiei statue back here, which I don't know if I've shown off at all. Got this little guy. Got my Yu-Gi-Oh! Got a Super Saiyan 4 Goku back here as well. I can't pick that up because it's on a stand, but I got my Omn1 from Digimon for Omni. Anyway, it's finished my costume for Spider-Man Unlimited figure. Awesome. Any word on other Reactorverse trivia live soon? Nothing as of late. Knight was always the one kind of organizing those, and he's kind of been in a weird spot here lately about whether or not he's doing reactions and stuff like that. He's had a lot of issues with his channel, so he was the one that really kind of pulled everybody together. I'd love to. I just think somebody's got to kind of fill that void he's kind of got there, because he had a good rapport and relationship with everybody else. It was able to get everybody on board for it. If I had more free time, I would try to do that myself, but I don't know how much pull or leverage I have. But I had a lot of fun with those. I know we did 3 pretty epic ones. I'd love to do it again, so I hope we can do another one, but as of right now, I don't have any word on it. Do I consider Atla as an anime? By Japanese definition, anything animated is technically considered an anime. By our standards, it is any animation from specifically Japan. It is an American-made studio, it is an American-made story, and it is a Korean animated show. So I would say by our definition, no. By Japan's definition, yes. Because also by Japan's definition and the word anime itself and its origins, The Simpsons is an anime. So that's my non-answer. What's up, Carmody? I'm about to head out here after we answer a couple of questions. Dragon of the Darkness Flame. I really want to reboot a Yu Yu Hakusho with new animation. I would be down for checking that out. I would definitely be up for that. I used to say Avatar was an anime, but after seeing Netflix categorize it as anime inspired, I think that's a better description. I agree. It is. You can definitely tell. It is definitely very apparent. It's heavily inspired by anime, from the expressions, from the style, from the world, from the humor that it incorporates. I don't think I wouldn't consider it anime, just anime inspired. I agree with that description. I really need Vegeta to get some wins in. I agree. Vegeta needs to stop getting shafted. At this point, thanks to Super, he's a much better character than Goku will ever be. Honestly, for somebody who has held Goku on such a high pedestal for so many years, Super has like literally kicked him down some notches for me. Like, thank you, Captain J, for that super chat, man. That super stamp chat thing. Vibes. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm still waiting on a couple of other figures to come in. I'm going to have to change something up about this. So I've been considering opening the pops, removing all of my DVDs from the shelf so I actually have room for more statues and stuff, because I'm running out of space. I've got stuff just on the floor because I don't have room up here for it anymore. And that's my fault, because I keep seeing things and I'm like, ooh, oh, I'd like that. But then I'm just like, I get it, and then I'm like, shit, where do I put it? So I might have to vacate all my video games that are behind all these pops, because I don't know if you can tell, but behind the pops are all my DVDs, all my movies, and all that stuff. So I might have to vacate those and just kind of dedicate all of this, maybe all exclusively to my collectibles. Who knows? We'll see as time moves on. Like the most recent chapter, Vegeta gets a power-up and then gets bodied. The power-ups that have been coming out in the recent chapters are just getting ridiculous at this point, and I don't like it. I just don't. Add some LED lights. I've thought about it. But then again, also at the same time, I'm like, man, that's so stereotypical streamer thing to do, is slap LEDs in the background. But I do have these collared backlights that I use when I stream in the dark sometimes, because sometimes I don't feel like having this bright ass light on me when I'm playing like a horror game, because it's hard to see sometimes. If you want to go back and check out like when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, that was the last time I actually used them, or some of my Mandalorian reactions. Actually, Mandalorian season 2, I always had a backlight on. I've got those, but yeah, I don't have any LED lights though. Vegeta's been losing for 33 damn years. Yes, he has, man. He's just a better character now. He's a better dad now. Give the guy some wins, man. Jeez. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up, come to a close. If there's anything you'd still like to ask, leave it in the comments or come ask me in the Discord. Again, links to that are in the description. If you're not already, follow me on my socials. Links to those are also in the description of the video. And I'll see you guys maybe Monday. Keep an eye out. We might do a stream Monday since it's a holiday and I'm off. So maybe we'll do like a spoiler, like go hard into the Shang-Chi spoilers. Shang-Chi spoilers Monday. If not, we will definitely be hitting those spoilers hard next Saturday. But guys, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everybody.